Nicolás Maduro appearing in court.
And I hope that charge will be brought at some point.
A status hearing on his case after his capture. Ongoing conflicts in the Middle East.
I think they will vote accordingly.
And how it might affect the upcoming midterms. Customers hopping into their Easter shopping.
Inflation, it's remaining stubbornly high.
Expecting to spend record-breaking prices. And the Environmental Film Festival in the nation's capital.
People were, thinking about the environment is really cool.
And its fight for our planet. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak. And good morning, South Florida. I'm Valentina Gaspari.
I'm Devosna Basindiel. Today is Friday, March 27, 2026.
Live from the Lee Caplin School of Journalism and Media in North Miami, this is Caplin News.
This morning, ousted Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro and his wife Celia Flores wait for a trial after appearing in New York court. Maduro remains in federal custody after appearing before a judge for a status hearing.
Maduro and Flores, who were captured by U.S. forces in Venezuela earlier this year, returned to court yesterday where they continue to fight charges including drug trafficking, corruption, and money laundering. The couple has pleaded not guilty and remains held at a federal detention center in Brooklyn as the case moves forward. President Donald Trump says more cases could be brought against Maduro.
They've really sued him just in a fraction of the kind of things that he's done. Other cases are going to be brought.
Protesters gathered outside the courthouse yesterday in support of Maduro. No trial date has been set.
With rising gas prices and fears of deeper U.S. involvement in Iran, the conflict is giving both parties a new political test. Caplin News reporter Lucas Bogardes has more from Washington.
Here at the Capitol, the political question is not just what happens next in Iran, but also whether this conflict could shape the midterm elections this November, and by how much.
The biggest effect that the war against Iran is going to have on the midterm elections is going to be the effect on the pocketbook of the American voter.
George Washington University professor and former U.S. ambassador to Tunisia, Gordon Gray, says this could become a real problem for Republicans if voters decide this war is making life more expensive.
When people see that the campaign promises to tame inflation did not come about, and in fact were aggravated by this ill-considered war against Iran, I think they will vote accordingly.
Additionally, the political shift could be even greater if the conflict escalates, especially since it remains unclear how far U.S. involvement could go, including whether troops could eventually be there. Asked about the possibility, President Trump was not clear.
Could there be? Possibly, for very good reason. Have to be very good reason. Why would I tell you I'm sending or not sending? I don't talk about a military strategy.
No, I'm not putting troops anywhere. If I were, I certainly wouldn't tell you.
Ambassador Gray says Republican incumbents could be among those most affected this November, with Pew Research finding that 59% of Americans disagree with the conflict, while Reuters found that President Trump's approval rating has dropped to 36%. Reporting from Capitol Hill, I'm Lucas Bogardes, Caplin News.
DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen faces a new task this morning after President Trump orders him to pay TSA agents immediately during the partial government shutdown. The president made the announcement on social media yesterday, citing the deadlock on Capitol Hill over funding the Department of Homeland Security. It's unclear how the administration is getting the money to make the payments, but sources say it would likely come from the big beautiful bill. TSA agents are due to miss another full paycheck today.
President Trump was front and center at the National Republican Congressional Committee's annual dinner Wednesday night in the nation's capital. Caplin News reporter David Lascano has the story.
Now, how many times can you say that you were just doing your regular commute, and as you're walking out of the metro station, you will have the president having dinner almost right next to you?
Well, that was the scene at Union Station on Wednesday night, as Republicans gathered for this year's NRCC dinner, just behind those curtains.
Congratulations. Well, we have a hot party. We have a very hot party.
Security was tight, with the United States Secret Service and the National Guard locking down the perimeter, and even the four-legged officers had to clock in for this one. All of it forcing some businesses to close early and causing delays across the metro system. And this one was a dinner and a show.
And we're winning another one. I tell you, we're winning so big, nobody's ever seen anything like we're doing.
After putting the silverware down, President Trump took the stage to take a couple swings at the Democrats' reactions during the State of the Union and doubled down on his decision to send ICE agents to help with airport security, saying that if needed,
we're going to send in the National Guard if we need to.
And turning to foreign policies with remarks on Iran.
And they are negotiating, by the way, and they want to make a deal so badly, but they're afraid to say it.
Lots of topics touched on tonight's speech at Union Station by President Trump, all of this which comes ahead of a 2-week planned recess, and still no word on a compromise plan to end the partial government shutdown. For Caplin News, David Lascano.
Americans will spend more on Easter this year, according to the National Retail Federation. Although egg prices have fallen, costs for other essential Easter items such as sweets, meat, and baked goods have increased. Our DC Bureau reporter Carolina Alvarez has more.
Easter spending is reaching record levels this year, with people spending $196 each for Easter goods. That's $6 more than last year.
I think consumers have opted to make savings in other places so that they can spend at events like these because they are important.
Let's analyze recent food prices. Overall, the price of candy has increased by 11% over the past year, according to the latest Consumer Price Index report. Meat prices have increased by over 8%, and there have been price hikes for bakery items, fruits, and vegetables. But egg prices have dropped by over 42%.
When we look at inflation, it's remaining stubbornly high.
Matthew says there are steps you can take to lower costs.
Signing up to loyalty programs and looking out for those deals.
Save money this April 5th by cooking at home and looking out for sales. Reporting from DC, I'm Carolina Alvarez, Caplin News.
In the nation's capital, films are highlighting some of the biggest environmental issues facing our world. Caplin News reporter Cassie Martinez has more.
The Environmental Film Festival here in Washington, D.C. is bringing filmmakers, activists, and filmgoers from all over to talk about some of the biggest challenges facing our environment. Those challenges take center screen in films focused on climate change, conservation, and the future of the planet. But the festival is about more than what the audiences watch. It's also about what happens after the credits roll.
I think it's really to democratize access to environmental film and storytelling so they can continue to reach broader audiences and kind of bring more and more people into conservation and that.
And conversation continues in post-screening discussions where audiences can hear directly from filmmakers and experts. And here in Washington, those exchanges can carry added weight, connecting personal stories to bigger policy conversations.
So I think that it's important to have these kinds of events, especially in the nation's capital, where there's so many decision makers. So just having that influence of people who are, thinking about the environment is really good.
The festival runs through March 30th, and organizers say their next step is to bring it into classrooms and communities, so where the education can really hit close to home. Reporting from Washington, D.C. for Caplin News, I'm Cassie Martinez.
And Punch the Monkey has finally made a companion after months of isolation.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
I hope to achieve just gaining a following,
A fraternity hosts a small business fair at FIU to empower minorities in the community. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Radcliffe Art and Design Incubator is the velocity accompanying the fellow's rudder, as in a boat. Unless there is movement or action, the planned direction is of little consequence. We encourage the creative ideas into action, and from the experience of doing, we critically assess the feedback, adjust, and set out to rediscover the potentialities of an entrepreneurial mindset.
STEM is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
Job opportunities are opening up for FIU students. A fraternity at FIU hosted a campus fair that highlights student-owned businesses.
Caplin's Jordan Tavares has more.
As college students, we find many ways to express ourselves through our creativities, our talent, and our social expressions. But today, students were able to cash in for their money in the bank.
An event like no other. The Lambda Tau chapter of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated hosted their Money in the Bank Campus Plug Fair as part of their week of events called Sigma Week. Their mission was to empower and promote Black student-owned businesses on campus. Some of the businesses that were featured in this event range from local student chefs to art designers and even clothing brands. For fraternity brother and student owner of Shop T3, Sheldon Turner, it's a way for him to bring his creativity to life.
I hope to achieve just gaining a following, letting people know there's creatives out there that can help you bring something to life that you may not be able to, or there's a route for you to do it.
At the head of this event sits the chapter's president, Ayani Johnson. His goal was to promote Black excellence and give a safe space for young student owners to share their talents.
It's important because we didn't always have these opportunities, and now we have them at our will and don't always take advantage of them. So I feel like it's important, especially as a student, because being a student can be discouraging to a lot of people. So, if they see somebody doing it, they might be more inclined to also, start something that they wanted to start.
The Lambda Tau chapter says it will continue to promote the student body and give back to the community, all while upholding its core values, principles, and motto, which they say is culture for service, service for community. Reporting for Caplin News from the Graham Center, I'm Jordan Tavares.
In good news for today, from tragic isolation to an endearing acceptance, Punch the Monkey has finally put aside his stuffed animal for a new best friend named Mo. Punch the Macaque went viral online after being abandoned by his mother and rejected amongst the other mates in his enclosure. He relied on an orangutan plushie for comfort, but lately the Ichikawa Zoo says the 7-month-old is finally fitting in with Mo, a female macaque who's considered his first real best friend.
The Heat won against Cleveland in a tight game Wednesday night, making a redemption after a 5-game losing streak. The Heat got contributions from everyone, with Adebayo rounding 17 points, Raritt had 13 points, and the Heat with 8 players scoring in double figures. They squandered the third quarter but made a recovery in the fourth. Ultimately, Miami put an end to their 5-game loss, with Heat 120 and Cleveland 103 as the final score. The Heat will rematch the Cavaliers in Cleveland tonight at 7:30 p.m. And that's all the time we have for Newsbreak this morning. I'm Valentina Gaspari.
I'm Duvasna Basundio. Get more news anytime at caplinnews.fiu.edu.